Hello world, Dano here, stacking paper as always, and today we are reviewing The Hedge Knight by George R. Martin. This is a novella set in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, but 90-ish, 100 years before the events of Game of Thrones. And I just want to get this off the bat. If you haven't read it or you're watching the show and you don't want to be spoiled, just don't even watch this yet. Just wait for the show to come out fully or go read the novella, because I'm just going to talk about the whole thing. Because, the reason I am rereading this, because I've already read this first one, obviously, is because, Dunk the Lunk's live action debut. I gotta pay my respects. And, this shit's amazing. It's so wholesome. It has such a different tone than Song of Ice and Fire. It's not nearly as dark, although there is still death and people doing shitty things. It's a much more uplifting story. It's about Dunk the Lunk, who's just a good chivalrous knight, or trying his best, trying to be a chivalrous knight in a world where chivalry is dead or dying. The last gasps of chivalry, you can say. So the story starts. Dunk is burying his master, Sir Arlen of Pennytree. He just died, and now he's taken up his sword and shield and gonna just continue on his journey. They were on their way to a tournament, and it's never really solidified whether Sir Arlen actually knighted Dunk or not. And there's actually a lot of stuff in the show. I will say that the show's fantastic, by the way. They're doing a great job taking dialogue right from the book, and they're actually filling in a lot of gaps. And one of those things is this idea that Dunk says he was knighted by Sir Arlen, but you can even tell that he doesn't even really believe it. So it's really never confirmed whether it happened or not. I'm willing to bet that it didn't, because at the end of the day there was no witnesses, right? As the steward asks him, who is your witness, and he said, oh, just a robin in a tree. So Dunk is he's gonna joust. He wants to win, but the problem is he has no money, so he has to sell his horse and a lot of armor and stuff, and essentially, if you lose a joust, the guy that beats you takes all your shit. So if you don't have the money to pay for it back, you just lose it. So Dunk is just kind of putting it all on black and saying, I'm going to sell my horse, sell all this stuff, and then I have to win my first joust, because then he'll take all the other guy's stuff and then be able to, get money from that. But it's made very clear, especially clear in the show that I enjoyed, that Dunk is absolutely not prepared to joust these guys, because these guys are royals that have been training forever. And if he were to do a joust, he would have absolutely gotten fucking cooked. So the events transpiring as they do sounds terrible for Dunk, but it actually ends up kind of being in his favor. I'm jumping ahead, but on his way to Ashford, he meets this little kid called Egg. And he's a bald kid, little weird, little fucking Avatar, the Last Airbender running around. And this kid's really smart and really quippy, and Dunk is not. Dunk is dumb as shit. He's super naive and polite and kind of just endearing, but he is dumb as shit. And so this kid's just running circles around him mentally, and ends up becoming his squire. Unbeknownst to Dunk, this is a Targaryen prince, very far down the line of succession, but a prince nonetheless. And his brothers are fucking, I wouldn't say they're terrible. He has one terrible brother, essentially, Aerion Brightflame, this little shit, who is just a spoiled, cruel rich kid, right? And while Dunk is at Ashford, he meets this puppet master, and she's really pretty, and she's kind of super tall, so good for Dunk. And Aerion starts fucking with her. He breaks her fingers and is beating the shit out of her, and then Dunk just kicks this guy in the teeth, knocks him out, And of course, they're going to kill him now. But luckily enough, Dunk meets Baelor Targaryen, Baelor Breakspear, who is really like the last, I want to say, chivalrous Targaryen. Because the thing about the Targaryens is they're not all bad, just like they're not all good. There's a famous line that Varys says to, I think, Jon Snow, that whenever a Targaryen is born, they flip a coin. And depending on where it lands, they either come out, they're either chaos incarnate and they're fucking terrible, or they're chill. So, yeah, Aerion is the terrible versus Baelor. Very chill, very chivalrous, and he's the only person who remembers Sir Arlen. And this is important because the only way that Dunk can get in this tournament, because no one knows who he is, he's claiming to be a knight, but, like, you know, he's a hedge knight. So he's going around to all these lords to try to say, like, hey, like, we served you guys in this conflict, and we served you guys in this, and we helped you do this, but no one remembers them because they're just a random hedge knight, so why are they going to vouch for you? They all say, get away from me. I'm not vouching for you. Even though it's so shitty, because what would they lose, really, by saying, yeah, I know this guy, let him in? They wouldn't lose anything. But they can't be fucking bothered to even help one person because they suck, you know? They're noble assholes. But Baelor remembers him, and I guess actually I kind of jumped the gun a bit. This happens before he fucks up Aerion. So he's going to join, but then when he fights Aerion, then it's like, okay, well, we're either going to cut your hand off or your foot, or, you know, we're going to maim you or kill you. Those are your options. And then Baelor is asking him, hey, how good of a knight are you really? Because Baelor is saying, you could demand a trial by combat, you know, in the classic Game of Thrones style. But then we get something really interesting and really different. He does get the trial by combat. But Aerion, being the smug little prick that he is, says, no, I demand a trial of the 7. Which is, it's a trial by combat, but it's a 7v7 trial by combat. And everybody's on horses, too. Crazy shit. Because Aerion knows full well, Dunk's not going to be able to get 6 other people to risk their lives for him, because, like, they're fighting for real. This is not like it's not like jousting where they're having, like, jousting spears. They're, like, actually trying to kill each other. So who's going to risk their lives for Dunk, right? Luckily enough, Dunk does manage to get the numbers the very last second with, you know, knighting a Foss away. You got the Laughing Storm, Lionel Baratheon, who's an amazing character, and they do a really good job with him in the show, actually, because in the book you don't really get much of him, and the only reason he really helps Dunk, it's not because he has any loyalty to him or anything. His reason for joining Dunk is saying, there hasn't been a trial of 7 in like 100 years. How could I miss out on this? I'm the Laughing Storm. I'm that guy. Also, I'm going to get the chance to punch some fucking princes in the face. Count me in. Because you got Aerion, and then you also have Daeron, who is the older brother, but he's also a drunk, and he kind of doesn't care. He's openly told Dunk that he's not even really going to try, and that he'll just lie in the muck. But then you have Maekar, who is Egg's father as well as Aerion's father, fighting on that side too. And it looks like all hope is lost. Dunk only has 6 people total, but then here comes Baelor Breakspear. Baelor, but the guy who is king in waiting, he's next in line to the throne. He joins Dunk's side. And Maekar is like, are you out of your fucking mind? You're going to fight your own family? And he's like, yeah, your son was in the wrong. Fuck that guy. Like, I'm going to stand on business right now. And because Aerion, he was smart. He drafted 2 Kingsguard to his side, which is crazy. Like, these are like some of the strongest fighters in the realm. So it doesn't look good at all, even with Dunk having a bunch of people on his side. But Baelor's smart, and he's like, those guys are sworn to protect the Targaryens. They literally cannot harm me, so I'll just deal with them. So that just takes them out of the equation. Daeron has already said he's not even going to fucking try. So now the scales are tipping a bit, and, you know, they have a big brawl. I'm hoping the show is going to I'm not hoping. I already know the show is definitely going to expound on this fight because you really only see it from Dunk's point of view because it's extremely chaotic. So we're going to get some more, I guess, depth to the fight in the show. But Dunk fucks up Arion, starts bashing his face in with a shield, gets him to yield. And the day is won, right? Dunk is determined to be innocent. However, Baylor dies. He gets a blow to the back of the head, and he just fucking dies right there. And it's like, man, that was the like the hope of the kingdom. Like he was gonna be he absolutely would have been a fantastic king, but because of Dunk, he dies. I mean, I don't want to say because of Dunk because Dunk didn't force him to join. He joined of his own volition, but Dunk kind of has to deal with that weight. And then Makar, who has been kind of a shit this whole time, he actually has a really good conversation with Dunk at the end about how he's like, was it worth it? Was your foot worth it? That's what he says. Because if he didn't do this trial by combat, he just would have got his foot cut off, right? But I mean, who's trying to get maimed? But he's saying like, we lost the hope of the realm in exchange for your foot. Like, was it worth it? And then Dunk says, there might come a time when my foot will be needed, which sounds really goofy, but given future events, it actually might come to pass that that's true. All in all, I fucking love this story. It's quick, it's witty, it's wholesome as hell, and I'm pretty excited to see like where they go from here because I haven't read The Sworn Sword of the Mystery Knight, even though I kind of know what happens. They're actually going on like the journey now. It's not just taking place in this little castle. But I'd say like a solid 8.5 out of 10. I don't want to rank it too high because I feel like the other ones might be a little better, but it's just a great story. It's quick, and I guess I kind of do give it some extra points because I just love the world of A Song of Ice and Fire. I think the lore is so good. It's really only rivaled by Lord of the Rings, maybe Wheel of Time, but there's something about this world that just feels more, dare I say, realistic. Like there isn't really much like other creatures there is like in the past, but it's very much like the human condition on trial, as opposed to like a lot of these other fantasy worlds. They have a lot more going on when it comes to like mythology and these kind of like mythical things, whereas Game of Thrones feels, even though you do have dragons, you had dragons, not anymore in this point of the story, but it just feels more grounded. It's a lot more about like political intrigue and human relationships, but this story specifically is more the human side. There really isn't much political intrigue. If anything, the political intrigue is happening in the background because this is the start of the beginning of the end for the Targaryens, really. A lot of them just start dying off. They don't have any dragons anymore, so they don't have that intimidation factor, which is the whole reason why they came to this tournament in the first place, because they kind of have to show, like, it's like a PR stunt, essentially. They got to show good public image because the Blackfire rebellions had just happened, and just the people have just lost a lot of faith in the throne, right? And they're like, fuck, we could be overthrown. And like 100 years later, that happens. But this is it's just a fantastic little story, and given the context of what's going on around it, it just kind of makes it even better. It just elevates what would be just kind of a fun, goofy, Knight's Tale to just something greater, But yeah, fantastic. Can't recommend it enough. Until next time, we'll get to the Sworn Sword soon.